Haven't you heard? A queen is on the rise. Wear a mini hat so she can open up your eyes. Join the convo, the podcast is lit. Cop a penny to the spice up your fit, yeah. She's a producer, you can vibe to a beat. She do the most, but she ain't come to do the least. Whether it's the combo or the music you want, find it all here at TiTiTalks.com. Come and stimulate your mind with TiTi Talks. Promise you'll never fall behind when TiTi Talks. The knowledge you're seeking you can find when TiTiTalks.com. So come on and get with TiTi Talks, yeah.
Peace, family. It's your girl TiTi from TiTi Talks. So glad to be back behind the mic again to bring you some more bomb content. As per usual, I have been in these streets traveling and working on this content. I just returned from Charleston, South Carolina to hang with them boy. Might play a cousin them from the Geechee experience. So stay tuned for that bomb content coming from there. I've received rave reviews from episode 28 with Samara Rivers, founder of Black Bourbon Society. We had such a wonderful time sipping whiskey and chopping it up about the black presence in whiskey. And here's a quick clip from last episode, just in case you missed it.
I think the next thing that we should try is Uncle Nearest.
Let's do it, yeah.
And you've talked about Uncle Nearest on your show.
I have.
So I want to get you a chance to taste this because you've never had their single barrel. So this is a Tennessee whiskey. The difference between Tennessee whiskey and a bourbon is a process that has been accredited to Nearest Green and to the African influence on the whiskey making business. We're starting to link it now. It hasn't been officially documented yet, but the traces just don't make sense how this process lands in America in the middle of the 1800s out of the blue. You ready to nose this?
We're going to nose this.
Okay, let's dive in.
Ooh. Yeah, baby.
Super oaky for me.
Yeah. You're making like a butterscotch.
Butterscotch. I can't figure out if that's pine or cedar, but it's been in the barrel 11 years.
Earthy.
Yeah.
Earthy.
So let's taste it. Maybe it'll bring out something that you'll look for in the nose as well.
Even like dried fruits. A little bit. Like dates or raisins even.
Yep. That's exactly what I got.
Yeah, this is really delightful.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I haven't had the 1820 before. I had the, I think, 1884.
Yeah, 1884 is their small batch, and then 1856 is what, they originally came out on the market with.
Right.
The last time Uncle Nearest did a 1820 release, of course, all of our members got on and crashed the site.
Oh, gosh.
Right.
So make sure you check out that last episode. If you're behind, make sure you catch up, Mustard. There's also a video to this episode on the TiTi Talks YouTube channel, so make sure you check it out, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all right? And shout out to Tommy Nova Films for the beautiful visuals. I mean, it's really beautiful. Y'all really should just go check it out, man. He did his thing on there. Now, I got to do a little housekeeping before we hop into this show. TiTi Talks sweatshirts will be available as of now for pre-order on TiTiTalks.com. Thanks to those who have already pre-ordered. They will be coming soon. You have been seeing me wear these sweatshirts all over the social media streets. They are super fly, super durable, beautiful. So grab you one or two or whatever the spirit moves you to get. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share if you are enjoying the content. You can meet me on the interwebs by going to TiTi Talks group and fan page on Facebook, at TiTi Talks on IG, at Miss, that's MS, TiTi Talks on Twitter, at Miss TiTi Talks at gmail.com, TT_Talks on TikTok. Yes, I am now on TikTok. Can you believe it? And you can also shoot me a text on 850-509-1194 if you want to do business or talk about how I can host your event or be a guest on your show or do some beats and instrumentals for your content. I am super accessible, so just hit us up, all right? Last but not least, you can also join TiTi Talks on patreon.com. Please consider becoming a patron. In order for me to ramp this content up, I will need your help. Shout out to my first patrons, Liz Gilliam, Adil Mustafa, Tiffany Hammond, Cornelius Galt, Prakit Mikael. I have some goodies coming for y'all soon, and I just can't even describe how excited I am, and I appreciate y'all so much. I also have some exclusive content coming y'all way just for my patrons. Yes, I got some good stuff coming. I appreciate the support more than you know. I know that I make it look easy, but it takes a lot of work, focus, dedication, and money to consistently deliver this content. So, again, I thank you. We are on episode 29, y'all. I am so super excited about this episode. It was recorded in Kigali, Rwanda. I recently had the opportunity to travel there and do some physical therapy and educational work. And I wanted to do a show there. So I went on Twitter and I hashtagged Rwanda Podcast. And I stumbled upon a show called Breaking Silences. It's hosted by two sisters by the names of Dominique and Alonga. I listened to a few episodes and enjoyed the show so much that I just had to learn more. I also saw that co-host Dominique started a publishing company called Imagine We, which is also quite impressive. As I was learning more about Dominique, I ran across a short story that she wrote entitled The Burden of the Saved. This story was set in Kigali and brilliantly told a story about the struggles of Kami, a young Rwandan woman navigating the NGO sector. It is definitely a piece we should all read, and it is free, y'all. Y'all hear me? Free 99, okay? So make sure you follow Dominique on Twitter at D as in dog, N as in Nancy, Alonga, Alonga, and her link tree will take you directly to the book in ebook format, all right? So before we jump into this episode, I will let Dominique, aka Nikki, tell you a little bit about herself, her mission, and her work. This clip came from the Youth Connect Africa Summit. This summit was actually happening while I was there, but I did not have a chance to attend. It's essentially a huge summit of young African entrepreneurs from all over the continent. I actually stayed at the same hotel as a few of the attendees and was able to hear a lot of amazing entrepreneurial endeavors coming down the pike from young, ambitious African business leaders. Dominique was a panel speaker on an important discussion on sustainable development. So check this short clip so you can discover out exactly who she be.
I'm very proudly Rwandan. My name is Dominique Alonga. I am a serial entrepreneur. Very proud to say that out loud. I own a publishing house, Rwanda's fastest growing publishing house. I also own a co-working space, and I am an author. I've written 3 books so far, and I'm very proud to be sharing the African story from an African perspective. In 2015, I was fresh out of college, lots of youthful energy, something that we all need to tap into because our energy is our biggest asset and uncontainable. I went and ventured into my passion to make information and knowledge more palatable for my African friends, brothers, and sisters. In the last 5 years, we've reached 35,000 children all over Rwanda. We've built 17 libraries, and I've trained about 250 people to become authors. And out of these people, we've published 15 stories that have been sold in thousands and thousands of copies in Rwanda and 13 other countries. And then this is where I started owning my own story. You guys know that 80% of books that are written about Rwanda are written by foreigners. And so we're slowly changing this narrative to own our dignity, our cultures, our diversities. We have that power, and this can only happen if we start actively speaking out with the written word or digital content, which is something that we're going to get into. Historically, we've been known to be divided so we can be conquered. And we have learned that so well that it will take us a couple of years to unlearn. But I want to invite all of us as the youth of Africa here at Youth Connect to take the lead in becoming more unified, supporting other businesses, supporting what we are doing and grow. Because if one African rise, it's nice. But what if all Africans rise, right? So I'm very excited to be sharing more on my journey, and I'm very excited. It is such a good time to be a young African. Thank you very much.
So now y'all see why I had to connect with this sister, right? Make sure you follow the hashtag TiTi Talks in Rwanda to see more about my personal adventures there. And stay tuned to the end of this episode for some hip hop straight out of Rwanda. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all gonna dig it. So without further ado, sit back and enjoy as TiTi talks to Dominique Alonga.
Peace, family. It's your girl TiTi from TiTi Talks. I'm all the way across the world. I'm in Kigali, Rwanda. And I could not come into this city until I came to talk to this young lady here.
Hi.
This is Dominique, Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Alonga?
Mm-hmm.
Alonga. And she's off the chain. I love her. I love her on the social media streets.
Really?
I found, yes, of course. I followed her on accident. Let me tell you how that worked. I was approached to do some physical therapy work in Rwanda. And so, of course, as I'm planning the trip and getting ready to go, I was like, okay, let me just hashtag Rwanda and hashtag Kigali.
I do that a lot when I'm traveling too. That's a good call.
Yes. So I hashtagged it, and I'm reading through stuff, and I'm seeing, oh, this looks like an interesting event I may want to go to. Oh, this. And then she comes up. And it was, I don't even remember the tweet. It was something like just really incisive and off the chain. And I was just like, I fucks with her immediately.
What was, I need to know which one was that?
I don't remember. It was something about patriarchy, something. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Because I consume so much media that sometimes it's hard to remember exactly which one. But I was like, I need to follow this person. I need to figure out who they are. And then I found out that this person has a podcast, is the co-host of a podcast. And so I'm also a content creator, as you all know. And so I said, hey, I like supporting Black podcasters and content creators. Let me go subscribe and listen. And it took a couple of weeks because I have a lot to do, and I'm always trying to listen to other people's stuff. And but you were on my list to listen to, and I listened to the show, and I was like, this is great. And if you know me, you know I am unashamed. I will cold call anybody. I will jump in anybody's DM and be like, hey, I want to holler at you. I think you're cool. Let's link up. I will do that. And I did that. And she was so gracious enough, when I arrived, she invited me to her home, her space, because I need y'all people, my listeners, to know. I know all your listeners, they know about you. But I need my listeners to know about you and what you're doing. Because I tell people all the time that I love the young folks. And when I say the young folks, I mean the folks that are like in their late teens through their 20s. There's a certain level of, y'all don't take no shit. That age group. They don't take no shit. They are very turned off. What? Sometimes loud and wrong, but usually you're right. And they don't like disingenuous energy at all. They see through a lot of things. They're truth tellers, among other things. And so I like having conversations with people anyway. So I was like, I gotta talk to her. So we're gonna talk about all of the stuff she got going on. By the end of the show, y'all gonna be like, damn, I need to follow this shit. Dang, I need to figure out who she is. Damn, oh damn. Y'all are gonna be so turned up. Y'all gonna be turned up like I was turned up when I saw her content, right? So before we even get into all of this, thank you. Thank you for being gracious enough and inviting me here. And I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to talk to you. And I just want to talk about all the things that you have going on. But first, talk a little bit, just who are you? We talked a little bit before the cameras rolled, and she's telling me she's kind of lived all over and had to move all over. And so kind of let everybody know like who you are and where you from and what you about.
Yes.
Starting from where I was born, I was born in the Congo, so I'm half Rwandese and half Congolese. That is very important for me to say because it's a part of my identity that was very hard for me to embrace until 2016 because of the strife between the two countries. I, for the longest time, rejected my Congolese identity to fit in. So now I'm like going around very proudly talking about it, whatever opportunity I get, have Congolese. But then I came to Rwanda in 1997 with my mom and my two siblings. And we've been here. We're happily connecting back to our country, and we found a lot of family here, it's very unique to our family because the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. So I don't think my mom expected to find cousins and aunts, but we're very grateful. I think that we're one of the unique families that still can afford to have large Christmas parties in Rwanda. So that's also something that's very important to me because we were spared in a way. And then thirdly, I'm also an entrepreneur. I think because of our history, I grew up thinking everyone was a burden to somebody because we were raised by orphans, children who had just lost their parents, right? My mom was young, her siblings were young, and everyone in my country had lost somebody. So we were raised by wounded people. And one of the things that happen when you're raised by a wounded person is that you don't want to add to the burden. So growing up, I wanted to make myself small, almost invisible. But one thing I was very passionate about was to not have to ask for anything because then that would be a burden. So that developed, it wasn't healthy, and I'm unlearning that now, but it did develop a side of my personality that I'm very grateful for, which is a hustler. I hustle, and I try my best to be as independent as I possibly can, but now I'm also trying to make sure that I am as vulnerable as well. So I own 2 companies, and I'm launching a third one in November. My company, the oldest one, which is the biggest one, has been recognized by a number of people in and outside of the country, and I'm very grateful because that has influenced the female voice in Rwanda, giving women the opportunity, young women who are younger than me or my age, the opportunity to feel like we can be people. We are not just decorations. You know what I mean? We are humans, and inspire, getting the platform to be able to tell women that they can think of themselves as people and have the self-esteem that is being robbed from us by patriarchy every day. So I'm just very grateful for my life. I think that's it. I really love my mom, so that's also important.
Yeah, for sure. And you lived a little bit of time in India, is that correct?
Yes.
For school or education?
Yes.
Okay. So was it a college?
Yeah,
or?
I went to university in India. So I did my high school in the US. And then I came back home because I did not like, I mean, it's tough living in some parts of the US as a black child. And I had left without my family. So I was, and I went to a private school in the US, and I was the only black child in most of my classes. And I know the trauma that came from that, so by the time I graduated, I had a couple scholarships, but I was done. I felt like I couldn't do it. And I mean, I part of me realized, you know, this is the U.S. and you're rejecting an education from the U.S. How dumb can you be? And I think even my family back home was like, are you a human being right now? But I just couldn't take it any longer. So then I came back home, and I just started working right away. And I started making some money, and I was very excited about making money. My mom was like, you think this is what you're gonna be? So she dropped me off. It was very quick the way I went to India. She was just like, hey, everybody, let's come, we're going somewhere with your passports, let's just see. And she had registered me for school. And I was leaving, I think, maybe 2 weeks from then or a week from then. So that's how I ended up in India. I loved it. I felt more in touch with myself. I wasn't as rejected by the society like I was in the US. So I feel like that was my favorite. One of the best time I've had in life, and I was in touch with spirituality a little bit more. I was more curious because they managed to keep the authentic religions and expressions of spiritualities that they had for a long time. Whereas, so that's where that spark of curiosity happened to me, where I was like, why didn't we keep our stuff? How come? You know, why did we feel so ashamed of who we were and our rituals and our customs? And you know, because in India, one time I remember we went to the parliament to visit, and it was a rule to wear authentically Indian stuff for every parliamentarian. They couldn't wear Western. Yeah. And I remember being so fascinated by that, and just remembering like it just hit me every day that we rejected ourselves. And so coming back was a beautiful trip for me, because I felt like I was more aware of the fact that as Rwandans we had rejected a lot, and it didn't result in the best.
Yeah, it wasn't a favorable outcome at all.
Nope.
Goodness. So you leave school, and so how long between leaving school and your publishing company?
About 6 months.
6 months. So imagine we started 6 months after you got back.
Yeah, I got back in June 2014, and imagine we started on January 2015.
Was that something you were thinking about while you were in India, or it just happened? So in 6 months you just...
Yep.
Wow. So talk about that.
So I had left the US, and then I went to India, like pretty close in terms of time. And in both places, reading is massive. You know, in India you have these little street corners that sell books. Any book that comes out, like within a few hours, they have the books on the streets everywhere. And in the US, I was an avid reader. I went to the library every single day, and it was amazing, right? And so when I came back, we still have one library for the whole country. One, you know, and that was, I was like, what in the world? But and the books, the collections of books are pretty old, and it's from the 60s, and it was always like that thirst to know stuff, to read was, I felt like it was leaving me, and I was like, oh, I need to do something. So I started working for an NGO here in Rwanda, and we had conversations. But then as the NGO grew, we had a lot more Westerners come to visit, and they kept saying, oh, you guys are African, so you can't be literate. Oh, if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book. These jokes kept being thrown around, and eventually I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna try my best to contribute to the change. And at the time, it took me 2 years to have an actual line of work. I just quit, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna work with the library, try to come up with some sort of a software that tracks how often kids read, and the kid that reads the most, maybe we can come up with a scholarship scheme for them to leave one school and go to a better school within the country. And then they said no, and so I thought, you know, why don't we do that with schools directly? Like if we go to very small communities and encourage them to read, and then in exchange they have the whole following year of school fees paid for. And then so we were like, oh, that's a great idea. So then I went to the schools, but they had no books to read. So that killed the idea again. And so I reached out to my school back in the US, and I was like, we have no books if you want to help. So they sent over about 4,000 books, and we started distributing them, and I opened up a library in my neighborhood as well, where we received about 80 kids every day. And so we started reading. I was like, oh my God, the idea is finally coming together. But then the kids were like, we've never seen someone who has yellow hair and blue eyes. We've never seen a horse. We've never seen this white stuff that's on every single book that we're reading. We don't like these books. So they started just ripping the books, you know, kids. And they kept saying that to us. And so in 2016, towards the end, that's when we were like, we need to create stories that authentically represent children that we see. So the first book I remember had as many random things that I could think of. And we were lucky that there was some sort of a pageant, and the winner came to us, and she was like, I would like to write a book. So it just came in the perfect time, and that's kind of how we started knowing that this is the end goal. No more running around trying to create libraries and a scholarship situation and all that mess. And so we just focused on starting to create content, and it's been like that since.
That's awesome. Solutionaries, y'all know how I feel about solutionaries. People who are doers.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people who talk a lot.
Yeah.
They talk, but they don't put any plans in motion. They don't put any energy into, into really action to doing things. And so that's one of the reasons why I even have TiTi Talks, because we hear a lot about what Black people globally are not doing. We hear about what we're not doing. We're not this, we're not that, we're not doing this. So my intention is to focus on what people actually are doing. And so I'm really proud of you for that. I think that's awesome. And she's like young, she's 27, okay? Years old, started a whole publishing company. And then you also wrote some books as well. So talk a little bit about those books. Y'all, I bought a shitload of them books. You hear what I'm saying? Some of them she wrote, some of them other people wrote. But I bought a lot of them. Some of them I'm going to donate to different Black schools across the diaspora. Some of them I'm keeping for myself. Because children visit my house a lot.
Right.
And they need to have things that, they can look at and read at that are reflective of not only just them, but what other people are doing in other places around the world. And I also have a few copies of books that I'm going to give away to the people who share this video properly, and I'll put all of the instructions into the post on how you can be entered in the drawing to be able to get some of the books that she's written, some of the children's books she's written. And then after you talk about the children's book, we can talk a little bit about your NGO work and how that tied into you writing The Burden of the Saved.
Yeah.
But we'll save that for the end.
Yeah, that's intense.
That's juicy, okay?
That's intense.
That's juicy. Yeah. But so the name of the publishing company is Imagine We, right? And so the books that you've written.
I only wrote one.
I saw. Is that the ABCs of one?
The Isolde and Her Magical Shoes.
Isolde and Her Magical Shoes.
So
that's right.
Rwanda's very first fairy tale.
Say that. Listen, we're gonna run that back because I don't think you heard it the first time. Say it again.
Rwanda's first fairy tale.
Rwanda's first fairy tale.
Right.
And what's it called?
It's called Isolde and Her Magical Shoes. It's actually based on my friend's story.
Huh.
So her name is Isolde, and she makes shoes using vegetarian leather.
I love it.
Here in Rwanda. She is amazing, and with her work, she's been able to support more than 200 families, go back to school with health, insurance, and just with obviously salaries and a livelihood. But she's trained them with a real skill. And the way she started in this business is her shoe ripped, and she went and had a conversation with the guy who was fixing her shoe, and she felt like, oh, you know what? I could probably do this. And now it's a freaking empire here in Rwanda. And
I love it.
She ships all over the world. So I wanted to tell that story in a way that has magic and kids relate to it. So in the story, the trees talk to her. Obviously, the trees don't talk to her here. But it's the same gist of her passion to help people. So we just sprinkled a little bit of fairies and magic in it, and I tried my best to include as many different cultures in the book. So there's a griot who predicts, kind of predicts the future and holds the past. She's this magical woman who knows thousands of years worth of history, the little community's history. Just trying to make sure that these young Black African kids read these books and they feel the magic, just the way I felt when I read Cinderella, But then I knew I will never be Cinderella. I didn't deserve to be Cinderella, right? Because in my school in the US, I think I wanted to audition for a play, and the play was Sound of Music. I don't know. I grew up loving Sound of Music, right? And I remember this stayed with me because they said, of course you can audition, of course you can audition. So obviously, any little girl is going to audition for the main scene, right?
Yeah.
The main character. And I did, but then somebody pulled me to the side and they were like, you know that Maria wasn't Black, right? And then that even stuck with me with all the books that I write, because then I didn't have an option. I couldn't dream in Maria's world because I don't belong in that world. So why don't we create books where kids can dream and be the actual character they see? That's what makes me go and create. So that our African and Black kids can say, I can be Isolde, actually, I can. Because that stuck with me, and it hurt a lot. And I ended up being like a tree in the play, I was freaking 16. I'm not trying to be a tree in a play at 16 years old, Anyway, so I think that's what inspires the work that I do.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So, I'm 37 years old almost. Am I 30? Wait, how old am I? I think I'm 30. I'm almost 37, I believe. I can't wait to read the book. No, I forgot. I really did. I think I'm 36, about to go to 37. That's what I think. I'll do the math on that in a second. But I'm grown as hell, and I'm excited to read this book. You know what I'm saying? I'm already, as soon as I get it, I'm gonna be sitting up in my hotel room like, let me see about these magic shoes.
Yeah.
I'm excited because she intentionally did something for us by us. Yeah. Intentionally. And so, do you ship books to the U.S.?
So we work with the Rwandan embassy in the U.S.
Yeah, nice.
So they help us in terms of that, but we're trying to find ways. But we're launching an application where these books are going to be digitally available.
Nice.
Yeah. So if, for instance, you want to print from the U.S., you could buy the rights to do that.
Okay.
And then you make sure that it gets to us because it's cheaper that way.
That makes sense. And that's smart. See, this is why you got to talk to the young folks, because they know all the shit. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be more.
You're not that old, okay?
10 years is a long time. You know, a lot happens in a decade.
Right.
You know, because think about somebody who's 17 to you. You see?
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because you're like, wow, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of seeing that in the same way, but I'm excited too. And you know, I always like to learn from what people are doing. Keyword doing. You know. So there's some other books and authors who your company has collaborated with. So I do have a few copies of Isolde and Her Magic Shoes. And then there are a couple of other books coming out through her site and her company. I also got some of those books as well because they are doing the same thing she's doing. They're trying to have stories and images that are matching the people who are going to be reading them, and to give a sense of pride, a sense of self-worth, a sense of imagination, a sense of fantasy, and also bringing like realness too, like you know, real world situations,
and also like breaking the idea that all that Africa go through is hunger and death and disease. That is one of my biggest passions. Is like I don't have flies flying all over my face. I have a couple of mosquitoes because I live in the freaking forest, but like I don't have flies, and I have showered today. Hello. Shower every day.
Hello.
You know? Like I feel like this poverty porn situation has made people outside of Africa think of us like, you know, we are just like snot everywhere and like just dried tears and just scales, you know, and creating our own stories, even when we're poor, because some people everywhere in the world are poor, right?
Absolutely.
But when I talk about my poor, I'm talking about my aunt, I'm talking about my uncle. I naturally will give them the dignity that they deserve.
Yes.
Whereas if a stranger talks about them, they will talk about them in the way that feeds their ego rather than a way that dignifies them. So my fight is to make sure that as many Africans as possible talk about us rather than have this person who, you know, like I get really mad when people come and tell our story on our behalf.
Yes.
So.
Yes. This is why I'm not talking a whole lot in this, you know, because we need to have the information about what's happening across the globe, on the continent, in the diaspora, from the people who are actually living it, from the people who are. I didn't want to come on and talk about, because even now when I told people I was going to Rwanda to do things, are you going on a mission trip? No, I'm not going on
No, ain't nobody trying to go on a mission trip.
I'm not on no goddamn mission trip, okay? All right?
No.
That's not happening.
Ain't nobody trying to save us. Like, for instance, can I just drop something in there? If you're gonna spend $3,000 to go to a mission trip, whatever, don't you have a community next to you back home that could use that $3,000?
Hello.
Where, you know, homeless people, or I don't know, just basic, like, one of the things I really love about the US is they have these what do you call it, where people come and just get food, homeless people, public kitchens or something, right?
Soup kitchens and things.
You could donate that $3,000 there, right? Instead of coming here and take pictures that will maybe earn you a couple followers on Instagram, looking like you saved all of us, and ignore that for thousands and thousands of years before you showed up, we came up with solutions that worked for us. But no. Your solution, your basic breathing makes you feel like you improved our lives just by breathing our oxygen. I don't think so. I think everybody needs to be intentional about replicating a sense of equality everywhere they go.
Hello.
Anyway.
So before you come on the mission trip, the money that's on the mission trip, I want you to take half of that, put it in your community. I want you to take the other half and buy a whole bunch of books from this sister right here.
Yeah.
Because she's gonna know how to allocate it better than
you, girl.
Better than you.
Mm-hmm.
So This is why I wanted to talk to her.
Some damn truth right there.
Come on now. That's going on the clip. That's going on the clip for the show. She's not playing with y'all, okay?
Yeah.
But they don't need saving. Save your own ass. Because America's going down the toilet.
Yeah. You know, like donate to, I don't know, Black Lives Matter. Donate to the indigenous communities, the Native Americans. Yeah. Like, you know what? You have a lot of shit to clean up in your country before coming over here and talk about how we have shit to clean up, you know? And we're doing a really good job cleaning up our own shit, too. So, I'm just saying.
Sure are. Let me tell you, and I'm saying this now. I'm not the all-knowing expert on Africa at all. I've been a few times to a few countries. Kigali is the cleanest city I've ever been in Africa, and cleaner than a whole lot of places I've been to in the United States. I'll tell you that right now. Kigali is
cleaner than the Bronx. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that because I was like, oh.
Yes, Kigali is gorgeous. They have the Sundays, you know, with the first and third Sunday where there's no car driving. They don't drive to keep the air clean. People are out exercising, walking around.
Did you go to one of those?
No, I may. Do I have another Sunday? Tomorrow's Sunday. Is it the first or third Sunday?
No, tomorrow's happening tomorrow.
It's happening tomorrow? I need to be out there.
Yeah, and you get to have a free diabetes, hepatitis B or C.
They do health.
They do health checkups. You get your eyes checkups. You can get a mammogram. All of that for free.
For free. Just go out in the street and walk around and get your life together, okay?
Hell yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous city. There's not a lot of issues with just pollution problems. Like it's really beautiful. Like it's not a developing country. It's not third world country. This is an established, solid nation.
It's home.
It's home. It's her home. I feel like I'm kind of at home here too. This is gonna be another one of my homes. I got homes all over the world. This is my other crib, my other crib, right? So it's a beautiful place. It's not perfect, but no place is. Yeah. But it's not a place that needs to be saved. It's somewhere you can come. You can enjoy the culture. You can enjoy the people.
Because I feel like if somebody came as a tourist, there's authenticity to that. Like instead of coming to save. Then another thing as coming as a tourist, you are purchasing from people who have already built authentic solutions, souvenirs, and whatever it is. And by you having that, you know, it's very basic. You don't need to save a person if you just need a phone from them. I'm not gonna have a whole conversation about, oh my God, how, you know, and it's just so straightforward. I like when people come and say, you know what, I'm coming to just discover, rather than people who come with the mindset of saving.
Yes.
You know?
And even though I did come here to do some medical work with physical therapists here and
that's work, though.
to treat patients, I was telling her, and this is when we're gonna kind of go into the burden of the saved. She wrote a very poignant and powerful short story. And I'm going to have her kind of give as much or as little information about that as she wants. But I read it a few weeks before I came to Rwanda. And anybody who knows me knows that, you know, I don't really carry a chip on my shoulder. I don't try to come into spaces and dominate. I'm a very cooperative person. And above all that, I'm Pan-African. You know, I believe Africa for Africans, for Black people, all across the diaspora. I believe that we all are commonly connected and that we need to continue to work together to build genuine relationships with each other so that we can improve our situations together. That's just my personal orientation. So I came into me doing my therapy work with that in mind. And her short story kind of drove home more for me that if I did have an ounce of privilege or whatever in my spirit, to strike it out before I got here. So it's got to go. All right. And with the engagements that I've had with now, this is my physical therapy community family now, you know, I feel like I came here with a level of just humanity, respect, dignity, collaborative learning, not thinking that my way is the way that it should be, or XYZ, not trying to change whatever they were doing, but tried to come in and see where I could fit in and give what I could. So tell the people a little bit about your NGO work, how that developed into you writing The Burden of the Saved, and just where you were trying to go and what you were trying to give to people with that. And it's a free book.
It's free.
It's free. And we're going to get the link, and I'll make sure that you all will be able to access it. If you get to following her, you're probably going to see it on her stuff. So, but go ahead.
So when Imagine We started, my idea, because the saviorism is not just for people from the West, right? I have I have a bit of a diaspora mindset, that when I came home, I definitely felt superior, which is something that I'm very grateful to have unlearned. And so then I was like, we gotta do this and this and this and that, to teach them. I'm like, to teach me, Anyway, but I encountered a lot of Westerners in the work that I did earlier on, because I was 22 and the media kind of took my story on, and it was everywhere, and people were like, oh, we need to see her, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So then a lot of people just kind of wanted a piece of the cake, right? And I was very early stage, and I needed the money, right? But I did not know the costs of having that kind of money on my self-esteem and my dignity, because it's an exchange that I had to do in those early years. So then we had a lot of people who just, most of the scenes in the book have either happened to me or a coworker, and they were very humiliating because you have people who think that you don't shower. So something is better than nothing, so let's give her my leftover shampoo, right? And I had to assert myself as someone who, first of all, doesn't need leftover shampoo, but then someone who also is smart, deserves to be listened to, because the exchange we had to do was be told what to do because you don't know anything. So anyway, a few years into that, I was like, I am done. So I had some of the partners, we sat down, and very humiliating meeting, and I said, just go. We're probably gonna be broke for a while, but we're gonna get ourselves back on track without you. And that's how we transitioned from being an NGO to being a social enterprise. Because then it's lessened the number of people who wanted to send delegations to do missions, to do volunteer work with us, and it just elevated us, because then we were more solution driven rather than donor funding driven. And having studied abroad, so it's The Burden of the Saved is a mixture of all the experiences that I've had abroad and back home. And the reason why I wanted to give it away for free was, first, it's part of my activism to raise awareness in a way that's fictional, that's not a lot of pressure. It's like, it's just a story, but it raises enough questions. And also, I think I just wanted to put my foot down. It was therapy for me to write that book, because I was hyperventilating half of the time, but it was therapeutic. Yeah.
Yes. And so this is why you need to read The Burden of the Saved. It's a quick read.
It's really 30 minutes.
Yeah. I think I finished in like 20, 25 minutes. It's a quick read. It gets to the point of how
did you feel about it?
I felt several things about it. One, I felt my skin crawl a little bit just on how just obnoxious and just dehumanizing people can be when they're thinking they're doing a good thing. which is crazy. So it's like what they think they're doing and how it's received on the other end are two totally completely different things. They think they're, oh, we're just charity and we're just going to da-da-da-da-da. And on the other side, it's like, I'm not an animal. I'm not scraping at the bottom of a garbage can. Yeah. I'm not something that you pat on the head like, oh, you're such a good little Rwandan girl. You know, it was just very just patronizing and just having to, how that could make, spiritually, make you feel so small, you know? And this isn't just an individual instance. This is, what was happening in the book is something I've witnessed. It's something that you've seen over and over again. And I've been enough places across the world to have a really broad view that this is a collective issue. Yep. With, you know, people coming into spaces and just trying to dominate. Yeah. And so, yeah, I felt excited that it was put to, that those type of things were put to words. I was excited about that aspect. I was like, oh, people need to read this. And then I also was just angry and just, you know, irritated by it, you know, at the same time, because it's like, people shouldn't have to go through this, you know? And I remember just this week, I was talking with with some of the therapists, and, you know, I talked to them and about just some things that we were reviewing, and I was just like, you know, well, you're a professional, you know, you went to school for this, you're capable, you are certified by your country to do what you do. You're basically my colleague, essentially. So I'm trying to have a conversation with you as a colleague. I'm not trying to have a conversation with you as I'm this expert that was brought here to talk about X, Y, Z. It's like, I may be an expert in this particular thing that I'm talking about, but you probably are an expert in a very particular thing that you're doing that I could learn and we can have an exchange. Mm-hmm. You know, coming, as you were saying, coming from a place of equality and just a very humanist approach to things. And so even though I knew that I wasn't going to come here with that chip, like I said earlier, it made me more aware of how I possibly could be received. Yeah. Because when people are experiencing these type of things over time, over their lifetime, they naturally just kind of submit to it. Yeah. And what I wanted to do was, before we even could get to that part, I wanted to just preempt that and just step in like, no. Let's talk to each other in this way. And that opened up the doors to a lot more meaningful communications, and then it made it fun, you know, because they knew the pretense wasn't there. The pretense was there. They, you know, people didn't have to, you know, play or act or diminish themselves in order to engage. And, you know, I appreciated the story so that, you know, it could make people aware, and then also be able to check people if they observe it, you know, because sometimes in those spaces when people over time have been trained to shrink themselves down, the amazing energy lift it is for somebody to step in and be like, no, you know, and so not only for us to just not do it, but also to be able to check
and reverse it intentionally.
Mm-hmm. Like, no, we're not doing that, you know. And so awareness, you know, awareness. So I appreciate it. It's powerful. This is why I wanted to have her on TiTi Talks, because I need people to understand what's going on. She hot in the streets in Rwanda, let me tell you. They love her over there, man. They be retweeting her stuff, and they be, you know, they love it. And just wait, man. She's going to be doing so many more bigger things as your business enterprising continues to expand. Because it's going to expand. Because she got, the ancestors got her back. Let me tell you. They got her back. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Did you hear what she said? How spared her family was from a tremendous genocide. Man, if that ain't ancestral support, I don't know what that is. So there's a very clear reason that this young lady is here, and she's continuing to learn about who she is traditionally. And as she continues to learn, it's going to continue to empower her. Man, y'all ain't going to be able to fuck with this girl in like 10 years. Y'all not going to be ready for this sister, you know. I don't think y'all ready for it now, you know. but she's still coming into her own and still, developing and doing. But as she continues to do that, I'm just so excited to see all of the wonderful things you're going to be doing, not just for the country, not just for East Africa, but really on a global scale, on a global scale. So keep doing your community work. I'm in full support. I don't know how I could support, but
man, you're already doing it,
Hey.
Using your platform to elevate our voices, because we have to. One thing I have to admit is, obviously everybody has to admit this. We all need each other, right?
Absolutely.
And you coming here and being willing to share your platform is something that's very special and means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's massive support. And also it speaks volumes of the fact that you found value in who I am, which it happens very rarely to Black people.
Yeah.
People come with the intention of saving them, rather than just like sharing. And so it's very validating, this experience, and obviously the conversation we had earlier. It's been very validating, especially since you're much older than me.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful.
Yes.
Very, very grateful.
I'm excited. I'm excited about it, because there's a lot of, when we get past all of the propaganda and stuff, there's a lot of shared trauma.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shared trauma with colonialism, with imperialism, with religion, with social structures, with patriarchy, with so many different things, and and there's just as many families where a lot of their family members were wiped out in the genocide. I know friends who had family members who were wiped out in the crack era, completely wiped out. People who lost people all the time. So it's even though we don't categorize things that are happening in the States as genocide. A lot of it was genocidal, hugely, particularly, as I'm not getting. I was about to say I'm not getting all that. I was about to go a whole different direction, but I'm gonna bring it back just to be succinct. But people who know what I'm talking about, they know.
We know what you're talking about.
Just like you're talking about how her family, her grandparents had to flee to the Congo to go. I know people who had family members who were hung in the South and they had to flee to the North. Similar stories. And so we're not as different as you think. Our trauma is similar. So this is why it's important for us to lean on each other to heal together. So that we can. That way, anytime she comes to the States, she'll be like, "Hey, I got you. Don't worry." Anytime I go to Kigali, I'll be like, "Hey, sister," And now we've, we're establishing a relationship, and now we can continue to be genuine. So now I can go home and. My listeners will be like, "Oh, when she's coming out with a new book," you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's what it's all about. Y'all make sure you follow this sister. I'm gonna have her run all her social media down. First, she has a podcast too.
Right.
Breaking Silences, right?
Yeah.
And who's your co-host?
Aline. Her name is Aline.
Aline. So you gotta subscribe to Breaking Silences. And that's on
everywhere.
It's on podcasts, Apple Podcasts,
Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, anywhere really. I can't even list those crazy spaces.
Yes, I find out that I have podcasts on platforms that I didn't know.
Exactly. Podbean,
something
weird, Anchor.
Yes, I just show up on stuff.
Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you used to use, and we're there.
It's very, very, very good. It's a lot of social commentary on what's happening from like a young millennial age in Rwanda, kind of breaking out of colonial ties and things like that. And I was very intrigued because this is an area that everybody got a piece of this. Everybody got a piece of Rwanda.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was just Belgium, and I get here and everybody got a French name, and then I'm finding out that a certain generation, like my generation back, most of them speak French or have the ability to speak French, and they have French names. I've meeting people named Jacques, Dominique,
very colonial.
Emile. the majority of people I've talked to are French names, so I'm like learning all of the stuff. Like, France, what's up? France, what's up again? Oh, and then your currency is francs.
Yeah.
Rwandan francs. So I'm just like,
yeah.
It's too much.
But one of the, I have a couple of friends who are going to court to remove their names, their French names from their identity cards, and they're making up some new Rwandan or generally African names. So like everybody
this is the blackest shit I've heard this week.
Yeah. Oh my God. These guys are out here doing the work.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is happening a lot in the US too. People are actually changing their names. Some people, they'll change to an African name based on, maybe something they feel in their spirit,
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes the name is given to them. Because I've been given names in Nigeria. I got about 800 names. That's the type of thing that we're doing. Like, we're actually like reclaiming African identity.
Yeah,
she was talking about how she's trying to link up and talk to some of the traditional practitioners from Rwanda. They're so rare and few and far between. And marginalized. That's the big thing too. And
that's the biggest.
And so she's trying to connect with them so that she can learn more about, those aspects. And I'm sure that you can go back into the Congo as well and learn some things too.
Yeah.
Because, all my African traditionalists out there, y'all know about Congo, Palo, right? Yeah, it's popping. So you got some very powerful ancestral things popping for you that you're soon to discover. I can't wait to hear about them. It's gonna be great. And so it's beautiful, it's inspiring, breaking silences. Make sure you subscribe to that. Where can I find you on like Twitter, Instagram?
Both my Twitter and Instagram is DN Alonga.
DN as in Nancy, Alonga, ALONGA. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so make sure you follow this sister. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you go. What's your website?
DominiqueAlonga.com or imaginewe.rw.
Imagine.
But you can just type Imaginewe on Google.
Yeah.
And something will come up.
It'll take you there. So you follow all of this stuff. If you don't, I'm gonna beat your ass. No, I'm just kidding. You already have wanted to. You were probably Googling this sister while she was talking. I know you were. I know y'all were. But make sure that follow what the sister's doing, support what the sister's doing. It's very powerful work. It's healing work. She's doing good, not just for her and her personal family and her personal lineage. I mean, she's doing it representing her country very fabulously. And I'm excited. So thank you for being on TiTi Talks.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to do it.
Yes.
And yes, we're here with chilling. It's a beautiful night here in Kigali. She's got the baddest view in the city.
Hell yeah.
It's beautiful. The sun was just setting down right this way. I'm just like, you know what? She gonna make a sister, you know what I'm saying, get my coins together. Let me get me a little flat round the corner, you know what I'm saying? But it's gonna be great, so appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Jeez.
Thank you so much to Dominique. Keep being a great leader in your community. You certainly didn't come here to do the least. And to my listeners, thank you so much for vibing with me on TiTi Talks. If you want me to continue creating content like this, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. I can't do it without your help. Y'all know I love dropping music from all over Africa and the diaspora, so I had to put y'all on to some hip hop out of Rwanda. I'm going to drop not one, but 2 jams coming from hip-hop artist Bushali from his project, Kugasima. I love it because it's entirely in Kinyarwanda, which is the indigenous language of Rwanda. The first track is called Kinya Trap, and the second is called Ipafu. Keep rocking with me. Keep being great. Now let's vibe to this Bushali. Peace.
Kinya trap kumutima, Kinya trap kumugongo, Kinya trap kumutima, ni Kinya trap kumugongo. Ngire ndabaduka uti nigisambo mu kijyane kwa kabuga, ngire ngo ndavuga uti kajuga shaka mayisha mabaruga. Kinya trap kumitima, ya benshi bashaka ubuzima, ikizere mu buzima, ni benshi gifasha ubuzima. Warose nabi yaraye nabi bukeye utanywa itabi, iyo yarebye nabi meze igikari bameze neza tayari mubareke bahure n'inzara mpaka amano y'abashyiremo inzara nibabura aho kurara niko kugaruka amaramasa ntuzataka inyota mu butayu shinga amavu usabe yumva abaye mwana w'umwirabura ko ndeba ushaka ko nkuha asubwo n'iki naguha Kinya trap ku mugongo Kinya trap ku mutima Kinya trap ku mugongo Kinya trap ku mutima Ni kinya trap ku mugongo Kinya trap mu majanja ubwato buyobotse inyanja paka biteze urubanza barabona bibo buyanja ubanza baza neza badusanga byasabaga ubuhanga uguruke nabugwe mu manga Kinya trap ku mugongo ni paka ubuhati biboko izindi zabaye ibinonko nicyo gihe ngo twotse runonko bushida yanjye ni Kinya trap mudahakura urumapu niyo waba ufite mapu Kinya trap biyoboye mapu mbyuka kare nambaza naruka narasa nsanga story yo ndasa sha mwana w'umwirabura ko ndeba ushaka ko nkuha asubwo n'iki naguha ni Kinya trap ku mugongo Kinya trap ku mutima Kinya trap ku mugongo Kinya trap ku mutima ni Kinya trap ku mugongo Make me powerful. Let it start for Push it up. Push. Wasyazi nyomo zinganute ese watetse imitwe konje nazindutse imitsi yaranutse kankubwiza ukuri uyu munsi wari zeru bombi nago yavamo munda hari zeru make me puff udere stuff 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 make me puff mu gifunzi ndukana amaguru gaho kabani nkodo ipafi dusaba ingufu yaba umuto mukuru inzara n'inkuru n'ibigezi bukuru cyane iyo mu ngunguru aho umwana arira nyina we niyumve niho nageze ubwo numva ngenda tuje icyo wakuze wagisize aho wavuye yageze ku gasimu umwana yaratuye kagegera reba ukuntu atamira afite ibafu iteye ubwoba ntabwo mbyemera ndebera kayugi nawe yanapebera yanakwemera agapi ibafu akayihabwa sikazi nyomo zinganute ese watetse imitwe konje nazindutse imitsi yaranutse kankubwiza ukuri uyu munsi wari zeru bombi nago yavamo munda hari zeru make me puff udere stuff 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 make me puff baraza ase no kwibabaza sobudode ndabaza cyakubazi baraza isi nevugiraga have wiza nemaka wiza yize kubada ndayiga kwamamara niba ushaka kuba boss nawe ukaburya inkoko icyo usabwa ni ukuzinduka windira biroko ucyari ubizi iminsi yadutambitse ikono ibaze bisi nakizere yuko byavamo twaba he twajya he whatever he imisigi yava he make me puff singombwa impamvu udera stuff make me puff iminsi nisisiga ibisa narose mbyutse mbona ubusa ndabimenya icyizere kirarema kikarema ibyo utabona nyomo zinganute ese watetse imitwe konje nazindutse imitsi yaranutse kankubwiza ukuri uyu munsi wari zeru bombi nago yavamo munda hari zeru make me puff udere stuff 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 make me puff ese watetse imitwe konje nazindutse imitsi yaranutse kankubwiza ukuri uyu munsi wari zeru